Everybody thinks that Goggins is the toughest person on the planet, and honestly, they may be right. But there's one thing that changed his life more than anything else, more than just running the marathons, doing thousands of push-ups, the SEAL training. The one thing that changed his life was standing in front of a mirror at 300 pounds and telling himself the truth. It was honesty. And that's it. That's what everything was built on. All the podcast clips you see, the reels online, who's gonna carry the boats, all of that came after this one pivotal moment where he was honest with himself. That's the one biggest lesson from Goggins that most people miss. If you're new here, I'm Kelly, and every week I pull out the best idea from the best books and teach it to you so that hopefully you can use these ideas and get whatever it is you want out of life. You've probably heard of Goggins before, or maybe even read his book, Can't Hurt Me. It's a crazy book. All the different things that he went through, the SEAL training, losing weight, abuse, being in poverty, to rebuilding his entire life. It's actually insane. But when you read that book, most people think the main lesson is that they need to work harder, they need to be tougher and continue to just push through all their challenges. But I think that misses the main point of what you can learn from this book. And it's that moment that sort of matters more than anything else. It comes in chapter 3, where Goggins is 300 pounds. His life consists of eating junk food and going to work where he sprays for cockroaches all day. One day he comes home and he stands in front of the mirror and he gets completely honest with himself about where his life is and where his life should be, or where he's always wanted his life to be. Goggins calls this the accountability mirror. And that is the method, that's the practice, to be able to stand in front of the mirror and be completely honest with who you are, who you've become, and who you want to be. But that's the part that most people miss, right? They see the clips, they see the highlights, and they don't realize that it was all built on that foundation of honesty. So let me really show you what I mean visually so you can see how these tools come into play. If you draw out everything that you know about Goggins, it might look something like this. This is the Goggins that the internet knows. This is what's getting shared. The ultra marathons, the Navy SEAL, the pull-up record, right? Him screaming, who's gonna carry the boats, the podcast moments. That is the output. That's what people think is the method. That's what they think is going to get them where they wanna go. The output, pushing harder. But underneath all that, that's where the actual tools of the book come in. It's the accountability mirror, the 40% rule, the cookie jar. And nobody talks about that because that's not the exciting part. There's no clips of somebody just looking in the mirror. That doesn't go viral. But here's the thing, none of the stuff above happens without any of the stuff below it. All of it, all of the things that Goggins accomplished happened because of using the tools that come below this line here. And that's what I want to explain a little bit more, what exactly these tools are and how you can use them to improve your life. It starts with the accountability mirror. The things that you've been avoiding, the truths about yourself that you don't want to look at, any of the excuses that maybe you have. This is where it starts. You look at yourself in the mirror and you tell yourself all of the things that maybe you've been scared to say before, so that you get an accurate picture of where your life is before you can start to change it and move it in the direction that you want it to go. The next tool or step is the 40% rule. Goggins says that when your mind tells you you're done with doing some task or something that you need to do, you're only 40% of the way there. You have much more to give. The 40% rule is all about catching yourself lying. Anytime you think that you've exhausted your resources or your capabilities, you're actually only 40% of the way there. You have more to give and you can keep going. It doesn't mean you need to run an ultra marathon every other weekend or do 1,000 pull-ups the same way Goggins did. It just means that you need to get in the habit of catching yourself stopping before you're actually done. And the third tool, or the third step, is the term that Goggins uses for his mental collection of moments. He calls it the cookie jar. Every time he does something hard or he completes a task that he's working on, he adds that memory into his cookie jar so that as he's working on things in the present, he can draw from that memory of things that he's done, he's accomplished, and he can use that to give himself motivation for the moment. As you do hard things and you complete more things, you add those experiences to your own cookie jar. But most people, they want to skip the steps. They want to start at the end. They want all the confidence, the self-discipline. They want to have these amazing achievements without going through the steps systematically, without being honest with themselves, without catching themselves lying, without actually completing tasks and adding that into their mental bank of accomplishments. The foundation of everything is honesty, and I think that's the main point of this book that most people miss. But here's one area that you want to watch out for. A lot of people turn Goggins into this meme or this character. They look at the things he's done, the crazy highlights online, the push-ups, the SEAL training, the losing hundreds of pounds, and they think, look, this guy's insane and I could never do the things he's doing. Or maybe they get motivated for a short amount of time where they take the main lesson as being, I need to just work harder and push through all adversity, and eventually they burn out. That's almost worse because then they have the excuse that I've tried and I failed, so now I'm going to give up. But all the while, they miss the main lesson of the book. See, it's not about pushing harder or being tougher or doing more. It's about building your life on a foundation of honesty, of actually having that moment where you look in the mirror and you tell yourself exactly who you've been in order to get to the place that you want to go. And that accountability, that can look different for everybody. If I can maybe tell you a story about myself, my honest moment came after I was already doing okay. So I'm a chartered accountant. I have a good career. My parents think that I've done okay in life. From the outside looking in, it seems like everything is okay. But one day when I really sat down and looked at myself in the mirror and thought about the life that I wanted, I realized that the career that I had right now wasn't going to be able to fully get me there. Despite the fact that other people thought that I was doing well, I wasn't going to get to the place in life that I really wanted to be. And yes, I'm grateful for the things that I have and that I've been able to accomplish, but you can be grateful and still want more. So it's not some rock bottom moment where you're 300 pounds and you're addicted to drugs and that's the only way to finally turn your life around. You can already be doing okay, but be honest with yourself enough to know that okay isn't where you want to be. You want to have something better. So for me, that led me on this journey of learning more, of investing, of taking more risks, of trying out different side hustles. And yes, I still have a long way to go, but I'm definitely in a better place than I would have been had I not actually sat down and used that tool of the accountability mirror. So maybe let me leave you with this. Perhaps before you looked at Goggins or people like him and you thought, look, I just need to be incredibly tough and push through life's challenges. Or maybe you looked at that and you got burnt out and thought that you could never attain the things that these people do. Hopefully now, though, you realize that it's not about these crazy feats. It's not about SEAL training or running ultra marathons. It's really about that moment where you can look in the mirror and be honest with yourself about where your life is right now and where you want it to go, and then build from there. Maybe before you would start a task or start working towards some goal and you would quit. But now you know the 40% rule. You know that when your mind is telling you to stop, you actually have more to give. And maybe before you didn't have any real accomplishments. You didn't have a memory bank or a cookie jar of things that you could draw on. But now you'll realize that as you finish things, as you work towards your goals and accomplish things, those memories will be stored in your mind and they'll help you as you continue on your journey. So I appreciate you. Thank you for spending your time with me, for sharing your energy with me. Make sure you subscribe so I can see you next week for the next episode in this series.